Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another CineKuest video. Today we are continuing to talk about UFO alien films that are kind of loosely based, but sort of not based on true events. Today we're going to be talking about Fire in the Sky, the Travis Walton experience. Actually, it's based off the book, The Travis Walton Experience. The book is right here. I'll probably put a picture up so you can see it better. Today I'm here with Daniel.
Hey.
And Roland.
What's up?
My name is Ray, if you did not know. I just want to preface this about this movie. Roland and I did meet Travis Walton in real life.
Yeah, he's pretme cool.
He's a pretty cool guy, real chill. He put his hand on my shoulder. There'll be a picture here of me holding my memorabilia, the book, the poster, and I thought he'd be taller. Was not as tall as I thought he would be.
No, he's not a short guy.
He's not a short guy. No, he's taller than I am, but I mean, it wasn't by much. But he seemed like a cool guy. I did see him speak. You did not?
Nope.
At the Edinburgh UFO convention when she recounted his tales. And he also premiered for us. Now, I don't think we were the first, but he was kind of going around the...
You want to feel like you were the first.
Well, no, he was going around the convention circuit, like showing his movie.
Soft premiere.
Yeah, soft premiere of his documentary, Travis.
Spotlight was on the two of you.
Oh, yeah, I was there. I was just like, I'm here, Travis.
Hello, you.
Just rise above the crowd.
You know,
With your like WWE sign.
he was showing his documentary, Travis. Yeah. Have you seen that Travis documentary?
Not all of it, no.
It's pretty good. It goes through all the people where there are now. And I was kind of surprised to see that a lot of the people that were involved in this incident, they had bad blood between them for like the longest time because people were kind of pissed off that Travis Walton continued on with the story about him being abducted by UFOs. And it was kind of fucking with all their lives. People thinking they're crazy, you know, because initially people thought they killed him.
Yeah.
So they already like branded as murderers. He comes back. Now everyone just thinks, oh, it's just a hoax now. And they're going to continue on with this outrageous story about being abducted by aliens. And I think the guy that played the Henry Thomas character, I think, in the documentary, like I don't remember the guy's name. His name was Greg. He's like the youngest guy there. Even his mother didn't believe him. Like he thought they were talking about demons and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So there was a lot of stuff that they had to make peace with Travis and stuff because I know some of them like believed him, and even like some of them who were actually involved and saw everything were just fucking angry with him that he kept on telling the story and they wanted him to just drop it. But yeah, so that's in the documentary, which I do recommend also you check out. It's just called Travis. I think it's on Prime. You can rent it. I have an actual copy of it, which he also did sign.
Nice.
I'm very the book,
Protective.
the poster, and that I'm like very protective of. You know, mind you, I did mark in this, but oh well, it's mine now.
Well, yeah, and I did feel a little bit bad opening it up to read earlier because I was just like, oh, he signed this.
Yeah, he did. He did sign it, and you can probably get a close up of that. It does say, "Ray, may reason guide us to discover, declare, and defend the truth." Excuse me, Travis Walton.
So is this kind of like Mothman
Probably writes
Prophecies
it in
as
every
far as the
fucking
movie
book.
goes?
Yeah, right.
Is it just does it follow the book at all? Like as far as how they portrayed it? Because I haven't.
To
read
an
this.
extent,
I haven't seen
obviously,
the movie.
Travis Walton is very adamant about the fact that the scene, the abduction scene that he kind of remembers in a very traumatic way
Sure.
in the film is not the way it happened. And we'll get to that in just a moment. It didn't happen entirely that way. He did have trauma. He was afraid, according to his own words. You can check him out on the Joe Rogan Experience, where he mentions that it was one of the most traumatic experiences or terrifying experiences of his life. But it didn't happen as the movie portrays it, because they even take it to another level with that scene, because the aliens the aliens are different, but what they do to him is even worse. And I mean, we'll get to like more details about what happens there, but there were. I mean, the basis of the story is there, but of course they had to kind of embellish certain things to make it
so
dramatic.
Certainly. And
I wouldn't think it's as bad as Mothman Prophecies.
at the top, this is probably the least prepared for a discussion of a UFO phenomenon because I know of the Travis Walton story. I've seen Fire in the Sky, I guess, twice now. Saw it a couple years ago, then revisited the other night when I had my premiere of Mothman Prophecies. But I didn't do my homework per se. Probably should have tried to at least get this on an ebook or something, go through it.
Honestly, it's not necessary. The one thing I just picked it up because I've had it for a long time. I've never opened it. There was a one point in time where I still want to like give this an entire read through. It's fairly quick read, but I just wanted to get some minor details between the experience that he had in the movie and the experience that he actually describes, because he does talk about it, and he's talked about it in the documentary. He's talked about it on podcast. Again,
yeah, because I've heard it. Like, I don't remember who interviewed him because there was a while I was just basically just shopping for paranormal based podcasts, and so there's somewhere, and I think it's one that I just stopped listening to for whatever reason, because if I had kept up with them, I'd go like, oh yeah, they're the ones that did Travis Walton. Like, I'd remember that, but it was just one of the flashes in the pan of just trying to discover, like, apart from last podcast and Illuminati, like, who were some good dudes to listen to.
Right. I mean, you can probably go more in depth in this, but again, for the sake of a CineKuest Valley Strange crossover, we're going very superficial as far as like minor differences within the movie and the actual experience of Travis Walton. Some of them are fairly humorous. Again, for effect in the movie, I can see why they took liberties to make it, to really keep the tension in the movie, because he does go through something happens with the UFO, he disappears, and then we don't see him for about a good chunk of the movie because we're dealing with the people on Earth.
Yeah,
and then he just shows back up again.
And that's one thing, and I'm not sure how much he talks about in the book as far as like the experience of his buddies and shit, and like not so much buddies, but just his work crew,
right,
and his family and stuff.
And
like
he has to take it from their word because I mean, he obviously wasn't here.
Yeah.
But before we continue on, let's go into the synopsis of the movie. Released in 1993, Fire in the Sky follows the based on true events alien abduction of Travis Walton in 1975. Travis Walton is an Arizona logger working with his soon-to-be brother-in-law Mike Rogers and 4 coworkers. One night while heading home, they witness a floating object in the woods. An excited Travis exits the truck to get a closer look, and a beam of light stuns Travis, throwing him a few yards and terrifying the others to the point that they leave Travis behind. Travis is gone for 5 days, only to return with the story of an abduction account that has intrigued the public for decades.
Great synopsis.
Wow.
Really. Once again,
Just,
he drove all the way back home and got the whole rigged up. Jeez.
Also,
It's
such
so
bangers.
cool, right? We're just really getting really tight with the synopsis.
Popping. Snapping.
That 3 hours was very quick.
It was. It's like some UFO kind of intervention,
Oh, did we just have lost time?
We might have.
Oh, boy.
Initial thoughts of this movie. What are your experiences when you first see it? Again, you were kind of going over that just a bit.
Yeah, 2-3 years ago, just to get through it real quick. I really liked it both times I watched it. That was like pretty solid. And with the angle of focusing on, his soon-to-be brother-in-law and the other workman crew, and then some of the, like, the laws side of it, and how the town erupts and stuff. Like, that's one thing that I thought was really unique because, there's been all these UFO movies and stuff, and I guess maybe Close Encounters is very close in terms of, like, showing community impact of some isolated viewings of or experiences of an individual or a few folks.
And the one thing about this movie is that, even the actual story is that it's not just one person who was involved. There were many people who saw something that happened, but yet, granted, only one person was abducted. So the only one who knows what happened while he was gone was Travis Walton, and everyone else has to just speculate. And of course, the unfortunate thing about the crew and all that, they got the negative end of that.
Yeah, because
being accused of being murderers.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, a crewman disappears, and
it's not like they didn't have chainsaws and shovels.
Could they do that to Robert Patrick? How could they possibly think that he would murder?
You know what? Before we continue on, let's talk about the cast in this movie because it's quite impressive. We have
Now, I think I've only seen DB Sweeney in this. Like, as Jen and I were talking about the other night,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, I loved him in this, I loved him in that. So I pulled up the wiki, and I was like,
I honestly don't
I
know
know
much about
Fire in
DB
the
Sweeney. Fire in the Sky, that's it. We have DB Sweeney. I'm pretty sure I've seen him in other movies, but I don't know where. I only know him from this one. And we have the T-1000 himself.
damn right.
Robert Patrick. Very unrecognizable in this
Yeah.
movie.
No
Just the
feet.
long hair,
Looks
the
like
whole
Yeah,
thing.
he
Looks
just
a
kind of
kid.
looks like fucking, almost like what's his butt plays Daryl in Walking Dead. You know, just
Yeah, Norman. Yeah, like Norman Reedus.
yeah. Kind of like a Norman
Yeah.
Reedus version of.
In fact, I recently saw a movie with Robert Patrick now on Shudder called What Josiah Saw. And I will tell you this, and mind you, I've also seen him in that new series with John Cena,
Peacemaker.
The Peacemaker.
Oh, he's
where,
in that?
yeah,
Interesting.
where he's like
Yeah.
a racist. He's the
John-
father
well,
Peacemaker, and he's like a
yeah.
racist superhero.
Interesting.
The White Dragon.
Yeah. But in What Josiah Saw, he's like a backwoods hick type of person who has very much ancestral desires and stuff. And he's creepy in this movie. He's creepy as fuck because I don't know if he's had work done, but he has like a very pulled face and his hair is just like really short. It's like, it looks like it's thinned out and his face looks like it's been pulled. He looks scary.
I mean, he's getting old in there. And
He looks trippy, you know. But I mean, it could be just his natural expressions. But we have
lighting.
Craig Schaefer, who is also like in a lot of '80s movies, ladies of teenage rom-coms, where he plays the asshole.
Oh, word. That's funny.
plays the asshole in
he
this
does
one,
play the
too.
asshole, yeah.
We also have Peter Berg. Think the only other movie I've seen him in, or at least I recognize him from, is The Great White Hope with Samuel L. Jackson and Damon Wayans. Where he plays like this
Damn it, how have I
boxer.
I don't know if I've ever heard that fucking movie. That
Yeah,
sounds
it's
amazing.
the Great White Hype.
Hype.
The Great White Hype. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. We're-
Yeah.
Same response.
He's like a punk rocker who used to be a boxer, and they try to get him to fight Damon Wayans, who's overweight and doesn't give a shit, because pretty much Samuel L. Jackson is like what's the guy that used to the promoter for Mike Tyson? He's the big hair kind of guy.
Don King.
Don King. He's kind of like that character in this movie.
That's hilarious.
But we also have another person who's no stranger to alien films, Henry Thomas. He's the young kid who also played Elliot in E.T.
No shit.
Yeah. So that's him, one of Roland's most hated films.
I thought you were going to say he played the alien.
I know. I forget the other guy's name. I think it was Bradley. I seen him in a bunch of other movies too. I don't remember. I can't
His
recall though.
name was Bradley.
Noble Willingham, who plays the sheriff.
Oh.
I've seen him in a bunch of movies also.
Oh, and James Garner.
And James Garner, fucking Maverick, dude.
Yeah.
Like, does a really good
Texas lawman
Texas law,
vibe.
yeah, kind of, yeah. Even though it's not Texas, right? But I mean, like, he has that kind of presence to him, and a man who's been around and he knows, he's seen a lot of shit, you know. That's why he doesn't buy their story initially. But yeah, those are people like I pretty much know from this film. But Roland, what are your thoughts on Fire in the Sky?
I mean, it's a cool film.
Great
actors.
Have you seen it before?
I thought I had, but thinking back, I'm not sure now.
Really?
So probably not.
I feel like Fire in the Sky is a
I
movie
would've
I've like
remembered
watched.
Robert Patrick at all.
I'm pretty sure like I've seen it like in your vicinity. But
so
I mean,
like
who
I know
knows?
I feel like I've seen clips of that crap because I mean it used to show it all the time on like TNT and USA and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just flipping through the channels, it's like, okay, cool, I'll watch this for like 10 minutes or something, and next commercial break, change it again or some shit. And I did catch clips of it. I just don't remember anything. So it might as well have not happened. So, and that's fine. That's fine. Because
Well, then what do you think about it now then?
I mean, it's great. I did enjoy it. I like the way it's shot. I like where it's shot. You know how the cameras had a good quality to the film. The story was cool. Pretty easy to understand how like it all. You know, it's very believable in the sense of how like everything sort of came together. Like the events that happened. He was abducted. You know, his friends were blamed. You know, a lot of reasonable things that you would kind of expect. Okay, here, let's find the suspects. You know, an entire town gets turned against them because everybody there knows everybody too. And then you have the Fed coming in like, I'll fix this shit. You know, and And all of this, there's the sheriff and then the aliens. Like,
It's pretty straightforward, I would imagine.
it is. But so like that's why for like seeing it, I enjoy most of like how it's shot and like what they do.
You know how everything kind of like escalates in the film. It's
with the exception of the silliness with the aliens and all that crapola.
the fact that this is supposed to like take place initially like in just 5 days.
Yeah.
I'm just like, a week goes by so fast and so much shit just occurs in that 1 week. I'm like, back in the day, since they didn't have the technology and the phones and all this other shit to distract them, like you're kind of just in those moments. They're just really long.
For some reason, I always say it made me think a lot of Jacob's Ladder when I was watching.
You bring that movie up a lot. I guess that's gonna be a mandate. Next year.
I mean, it's an awesome fucking movie. Am I wrong, Ray?
No, you're not wrong.
I know, but
I'm just saying. But like you,
it's one that pops in my head. I do. But like,
because Jacob's Ladder has been invoked so many times on the podcast, even not on the podcast. You reference Jacob's Ladder.
Yep. If it's
this is with Tim Robbins. I'm not right. I'm right. Okay.
Which is usually a good way to gauge if I enjoy it or not.
I guess, yeah.
So
we weren't going anywhere with that.
You
were asking me about how like we were going along with
so although it did take place over like 5 days and they did jam a lot of stuff in those days, I thought that the film did a good job of at least giving believable time lapses. Like they at least had enough build up where like one night one afternoon they're getting, asked to go take a polygraph test about Travis's disappearance, and then they get it right to where it's like, okay, yeah, then now the next morning these guys show up, or like 2 days later. I'm not sure how the progression in the film, but it's like, okay, it's believable. Like they did take time to think about it, and you don't see that necessarily.
Right.
So I think they did a good job of like making it feel like it's not all just happening in one day, or there's just
like
too much stuff going on.
The pacing of the events as it goes through the week.
Right.
Pretty
but
cool
it's kind of crazy how
quick they jam in so much, but it's still like, it's like, okay, cool. I could see how a night of stuff that we don't see leading into the next day happens. Like, oh, next thing you know, it's Robert Patrick getting ready to go, show up to the police station with his buddies.
Right. It's crazy to see how quickly, again, a small town can turn on you in this, just the way this movie describes it. I don't recall how that happens in the book necessarily. But it is kind of, it's scary to think that people know in your life, just from one misunderstanding, the whole town thinks you are this
one
really
day to the
evil
next,
person,
how quick they turn on you, rather.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a scene in the town hall where he sees everyone going in, and even his fucking wife is there.
Yeah.
And they're
kind
kind
of church or something like
that.
Yeah. The sheriff's addressing them. Everyone's just like, hang them, basically.
Yeah. Pretty much without any evidence, without any sort of like actual testimony from everyone. They're just like, they've already made up their minds.
Yeah, just mob mentality just went rampant, like super fast in that community.
Because they just don't want to deal with this shit. It's just
But I do think it's funny how, just if this reflects real events closely, is that the town just wasn't, maybe not they're all murderers, but when the one guy, the asshole, he was a drifter or whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't so, and I'm not sure about the real makeup of these dudes and the story that actually occurred.
In my understanding, that guy was like, he had a record on him. So like that already, like,
he was a bit of a drifter or whatever, but it wasn't clear whether in the movie that he became a local.
I think it seems like he's just outside of the outskirts of the town, because he seems like he's hanging out with a bunch of Mexicans.
Oh yeah, he goes go hide, man. He was playing cards and shit. I totally forgot about that.
He went all Sarah Connor and shit,
dude.
Nice.
He went to like the Mexican trailer park.
The lighting about the same, dude.
What's that?
Like in Terminator, like
that's true. Yeah.
Like the lighting was about
that just
the same.
means he knows where to get all the guns. Then awesome.
T-1000. There you go. He had some. Robert Patrick was like, "No, we gotta make it just like the desert scene in like the Terminator 2."
Yeah. Did this movie come out after?
Yeah.
Terminator 2? Okay, cool. I couldn't remember when it was done.
The movie came out after. The movie takes place in 1975.
Well, right, but...
Yeah. And strangely enough, we have the Mothman Prophecies, which takes place in 1967. I think 71-ish was when the Mothman Prophecies book comes out. And prior to that, we've also had of course, Roswell happened.
Yeah.
We've also had the Betty and Barney Hill abduction as well. There's a lot of little things that they kind of, I guess, again, Easter egg in the movie, because like that young kid, he's Henry Thomas, he's reading like a National Enquirer that has like stories
Yeah.
from like abductions or Nebraska. I think the headline was Nebraska man is abducted by aliens, and just so happens it's Travis Walton. So like the Fed, James Garner, he sees that and is already suspicious that they murdered him for sure.
Yep.
And then when he comes back, he's like, then it's just a hoax. Like they
Yeah.
just planned this whole thing. So what
I
else?
know you did it. I know you did it. Just say you did, and we can both be on our way.
But I guess to set the
Merry
stage
way.
for the events as far as the movie goes, you got a crew of 6-7 dudes. They're hardworking loggers. They've got a contract with the state or
They chop
something.
wood.
Yeah.
But they're out clearing timber, and on the way back from work one night, they start seeing what they call, the fire in the sky, where, just the...
It was just like a light. According to the actual events, they're pretty much play out the way they do in the movie. Like they're driving, they're kind of like all tired. It is in the evening. They see a light that they think there might be a fire. And then Travis Walton gets out of the car, and they're like, as seems like terrified as they are in the movie, according to him, they're like telling him to come back.
Yeah.
And he gets zapped by the light. And from his initial thoughts is that he gets zapped. From his perspective, he wakes up on a table. In this movie, he wakes up in this kind of weird gelatin, kind of like fucking
a
weird
Matrix-like cocoon.
Yeah.
It was like Neo coming out.
It's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, it does look gross.
And I mean, I like how they added like the action, because in his actual account, he does fight off the alien a little bit.
Or he tries to fight him,
fight him off. And then he comes upon one race of aliens, and he comes upon what is assuming to be another race of aliens in the spaceship. And we'll get to like what those might have been in just a bit. But in the film, I like when he like kind of breaks out of that thing, and there's like this whole room is all like you said Matrixy, right? There's like a bunch of like little
pods like just
all over
lining
the
the
place.
walls and shit.
Yeah, and he's like floating, like holding on to whatever the fuck that thing is, and then he like floats directly into that one cocoon, and then like it's a fucking cool scene. Like he hits all this like gelatin kind of shit.
Yeah, and he's like,
and there's
that's
like
people.
Right, and there's like a fucking dead body in there that's been rotting. And that's fucking disgusting. It's fucking cool. But then he maneuvers his way into this room where there's what seems like aliens, and he goes like, when he's like touching it, he goes like, spacesuit. And then of course that one comes up to him, and he's like, woo, kick him, Then in that one scene, he goes to like he's trying to escape, and then pretty much they capture him. They drag him to like the table, which he initially in the real account he wakes up on. But then
put
they
that sheepskin over him.
Yeah, which is assuming like, I don't know if it's like fucking hurting him in some way, or he's just still terrified, because it seems like he's actually like lying on it, but he's like floating just slightly above the bed. And then of course they put that shit in his mouth, and that fucking dirty ass metal too. They really had to make this spaceship look dirty as fuck. Like, to me, I've always thought aliens to be really sparkly clean. Like they don't have hair. They're like hairless beings.
Well, and also reports of abductees, they talk about how there's like an antiseptic smell to the place and shit. Like everything's clean, like brightly lit. This scene looks more like it's from a hostel with like these like little people that have gone rogue, and they're like taking people's limbs and selling them on the black market or something. Like it looks like the fucking cantina on Mos Eisley in the first Star Wars movie. Like
it looks dirty as fuck, right? And of course there's like, you see like the fact that they've actually been abducting people this whole time, and they have it seems like they have like malicious intent, but then they just bring them back.
Yeah.
So what was that about?
Yeah, so it's like what made him special, because like he stumbled upon a once was alive person in one of these pods. So like what was special about Travis to where Because like, what was going to stop these aliens from just like knocking him back out, throwing
Right.
another pod, and go, okay, just watch this one. Like,
Yeah, right.
like how many jailbreaks have happened, you know? And so, do all these are the jailbreakies like the chosen ones that get returned to Earth to spread the message to the aliens, and the
Right.
rest just become like, I don't know, biofuel or whatever. Like,
Regarding all that trauma that he goes through, and of course in the movie, and then there's one part in this film that I still don't like to this day, and it's that last line he says in the movie when Robert Patrick or Mike is asking him like, why did they think? I think he asked him like, why did they
Oh,
bring
you
him back?
mean
Where
when
he's
he
like,
had that dumb joke?
well, yeah, when he goes like, I don't think they're coming back, and he goes, why do you think that? And he's like, I don't think they like me very much. And then they go,
Yeah.
and then they drive off.
I guess
I hated.
I guess I wiped that from my mind.
I hated that line so much. I still don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a fucking traumatic as fuck experience, and just like they don't like me anymore.
Why didn't they
Again,
just
why?
go the
Again, why did they drop him off?
thumbs
What
up
makes him
or
so
whatever?
special? You know,
And at the end, they high-fived.
man. If they had jumped up in the middle and
Right,
stopped midair,
yeah.
fucking Saved by the Bell theme song.
Get probed.
That's like our montage idea for Mothman prophecies.
Yeah. Regarding the people in the town, of Robert Patrick and everyone else, they gonna get forgotten as soon as Travis comes back. You know, like
Yeah,
Travis kind of
as
makes him
far
feel
as
like
the-
shit
yeah.
because like he
They left him there.
feels guilty that Mike feels guilty that he left him there.
It
And
was also just like, well, fuck you. It's like,
yeah, but I think that's
Stick around
at the end of
and
the movie. That's why they make peace because
alien.
he kind of
abducted.
made it seem like how dare you like left me behind. Yeah. Like, but you didn't.
You went
see
over there,
what they
asshole.
saw. And of course, he went back
Exactly.
to go look for him.
That's the other.
But
That's true.
I mean, in any situation like that, if you're with a group of people,
Grown ass man. You make
one
your
of you
own
gets out of the
decisions.
car when you're specifically yelling at him not to get out of the car, and
Yeah.
he gets zapped by an alien. Like in the car, like he's dead, he's dead, and then they all fucking take off.
Fuck it. Leave him.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen like I mean, I would have thought he was dead too because if you're in the film and you see him up close and he gets zapped,
and then he was thrown like 10 feet.
yeah, but then there's like smoke coming out of his mouth.
Oh,
it
yeah.
seems, and you're just like,
He's-
yeah, this fucker's dead, man. Like,
See ya.
run, everyone get the fuck
Yep.
out.
He just got Death Star, bro. Let's get out of here.
There was a little bit of a comedic element to that whenever Mike drops them off in the middle of the woods and then they're all standing there and then they hear birds chirping and they all fucking like freak the fuck out. It goes right back to the scene where they're in the diner recounting their tales to the Fed, Mr. Garner. Do you have any
No,
thoughts
I was
regarding
mostly
this film?
wondering what you thought about as far as
Right. So we can talk about some of the elements that are real.
Didn't make the cut.
Yeah, didn't make the cut in this movie. And they're quite humorous because if you're thinking that, sure, it would be terrifying for anyone to encounter aliens, especially if you're not ready for it.
yeah, I shit myself. It's fine.
The kind of aliens that
I'll play beans at night.
he mentions are fairly typical of the characteristics of a gray.
Yeah, but
They weren't necessarily that color though.
Yeah,
right, but also like I was
The initial
Thumbing through
aliens,
yeah, right.
that he sees that are kind of standing over him in the little lab that they have there. But there are other aliens that he does see. Well, before we get into that, like what happens, he actually tries to fight the aliens, which he kind of loosely does in the movie. You want to check
Yes,
that
I
out?
do.
We're gonna go to the book specifically to get a direct quote from Travis Walton regarding how that initial or that potential fight would have gone with the aliens.
Oh, well, this is a good one. With the superhuman effort of a cornered animal, I ground out their strength to defend myself. Let's see. Another highlight. I sprang into a fighting stance with my legs spread wide to brace for the attack. I lashed out with the weapon at the advancing creatures, screaming desperate, hysterical threats. Get away from me. What are you? I shouted wildly, shrinking away in revulsion.
Very threatening.
Get away from me! What are you?
Yeah, bro, fuck.
Mind you, he does recount this where he found like a cylindrical clear thing, which he assumed was like a glass
Yeah, he said pull
object.
But he pulled like a piece of a bench up in the book.
Yeah,
Like,
and then he's like swinging it, and so.
yeah. So page later, he says it looked as though those years of karate training were about to pay off.
There it is.
But
You're going to use karate training to fight aliens. But I want to know specifically, I don't know if he mentions it in this book, what style of martial arts? Is it
All
just
of them.
actually karate?
All of
Yeah.
Was it
that's how
taekwondo?
anybody studied at that time. You didn't pick one. You just
No, man. He was
Down the
studying
list.
Hapkido like Steven Seagal and some
fuck
shit.
yeah, fuck yeah, dude. And then the alien didn't expect their pinky to be touching the back of their wrist, and I had them.
With all the strength of the universe, I took down this extraterrestrial.
oh wow.
Yeah, he has
I
the-
laid on a mighty hip throw.
He always was like, keep back, damn you. Seems very
jeez.
Charlton Heston,
Dude, I was
Planet of the Apes
Charlton
type.
Heston would be great, but like a mashup between like Kirk and McCoy there. Like,
This sounds like it really happened, guys. Word for word.
Yeah, so like regarding the actual first aliens, which probably would have been the Greys, this is his description of them. It says their smooth skin was so pale that it looked chalky like ivory. The skin was so delicate and thin to the point of translucent. That subtle semi-transparency made the life fluids just underneath the skin falsely suggest moistness of the surface, contrasting its actual dryness. It says the thin white membrane stretched over the curves of their small bodies without wrinkles. The bends of their fingers and necks made very small, slightly rounded folds instead of sharp creases. Sorry. Again, of course, typical, their bald heads were disproportionately large for their puny bodies. I feel like I've heard someone say that exact quote before regarding an actual human. They had bulgy, oversized craniums, a small jaw structure, and underdeveloped appearance to their features that was almost infantile. There was an instance here. Like he basically said they look. Oh yeah, here's the one thing I want to say. Their overall look was disturbingly like a human fetus. So they look like a human fetus. So that was like the first race of aliens that he did see, and then he came
they ran into
upon
those brown-eyed dudes, like the big, or what are the initial Grays?
I think those
Ones
were them,
with the big
yeah.
brown-
Yeah.
Because I remember like thumbing through there real quick, going like he was describing, it's like big brown eyes. And usually they're like black in a lot of accounts, and
Right.
gray encounters. But
So there was another instance where he
Silver
was
or
he had escaped those particular aliens and was kind of like roaming around the ship, and then he came across like a chair and like it seemed like the control area and stuff. So it says I whirled around and looked at the door, and there standing in the open doorway was a human being.
was this a Navy officer or something like that? Like he put or Air Force? He said something like that.
Says I stood frozen to the spot. He was a man about 6 feet 2 inches tall. His helmeted head barely cleared the doorway. He was extremely muscular and evenly proportioned. He appeared to weigh about 200 pounds. He wore a tight-fitting bright blue suit of soft material like a velour.
And then we embraced.
Yeah, I thought like descriptions were getting pretty detailed. His feet were covered with black boots, a black band or belt wrapped around his middle. He carried no tools or weapons on his belt or in his hands. No insignia marked his clothing.
And I knew I encountered another karate master.
We bowed to each other
This is my final boss.
he did think the man was from
and assumed
NASA.
our stances.
NASA, there
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
This is his own words here. It says, continuing on, wow, how did he get here? Is he from the Air Force? What's going on here? Maybe he's from NASA. I'm saved. Another human, one of my own kind. Relief flooded over me. Never before had I been so glad to see a total stranger.
Oh, Roland, you missed this, but talking about some of the Walton experience, I had an idea for what they should do in a future It's Always Sunny episode. Have like the gang gets abducted and Mac has one of those moments, but he goes to try to fight the aliens with his Mac Fu.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We need to see that.
So I know Glenn Howerton and
Yeah.
Rob Mac
totally
Lenny
right.
are totally
Listening,
listening and
right.
watching this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll DM him a little later.
Ah, cool.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have their number yet?
No, they said it was just too personal for that. So it was just direct emails, like not their Always Sunny, but their actual direct emails that they get personal stuff on. So I'll contact them.
Awesome.
He did come across 3 other humans, as he puts it, 2 men and women standing around a table. He said like the 2 men had a muscularity and the same masculine good looks as the first man. And the woman also had a face and figure that was the epitome of her gender.
I forgot that.
Smooth skin and blemishless.
I've read
No
that.
moles, freckles, wrinkles, or scars marked their skin. The striking good looks of the man I had first met became more obvious on seeing them all
He
together.
forgot a word there. He should put perfect man.
They shared a family-like
Our eyes
resemblance,
locked.
although they were not identical. But they had like this brownish, blondish hair kind of. So regarding that, so we have like kind of like a typical gray type of character. So I had to like go through my trusty the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, the Ultimate Guide to Greys, Reptilians, Hybrids, and Nordics by Craig, some dude. I can't say the last name, but this book right here. You know the last name?
Like Campobasso.
Yeah, I wasn't going to try that. But
Campobasso.
here you go. So I was kind of, after reading that little excerpt, kind of looking at the type of human aliens that they say here. What I came across was the Alturians. And the reason I was looking for physical characteristics, because, I mean, that's the only thing he describes in the book necessarily. And it says the Alturians are indistinguishable from Earth humans, though they are smaller. Men 6 to 9 feet tall. So like 6, that's kind of like roughly around what he said.
Okay.
Women are 5'9" to 7 feet. The Alturians are a beautiful race. Men have toned, muscular bodies, and women are voluptuous. The epitome of their gender.
Again,
That's what that
right.
means.
That's right. Obviously.
Travis.
although most are light skinned, some Alturian skin tones range from blue, green, tan, and brown to a variety of other hues. From breeding with other human races, the skin tone spectrum is the natural occurrence within star nations. The Alturians also study the colors in the suns and stars in planetary systems to understand how the frequency of light denotes our different skin pigmentations. And apparently the origin...
Sky racist. Gotcha.
The origins of the Alturians are from the Aquila constellation. Inhabitable worlds in their immediate vicinity are home to other humanoids, reptilians, and greys. Maybe the greys and the Alturians kind of got together and did a little Earth reconnaissance. You know, who knows? Alturians are great cohabitors with other races. So
Yeah.
it would make sense that they are.
Well, they're there,
together,
yeah. And as we were talking pre-episode, again, you also have multiple races of aliens being present at the same events, like
Right.
Coronado Hotel, where a bunch of people saw UFO shit, but then people were seeing greys, they're seeing insectoids, Alturians and shit. Then you have the Communion story with
Willie Strieber.
Willie Strieber. I was going to call him Whiteley Strieber. Damn it. Where he sees greys and insectoids,
Yeah.
and then the little blue dudes, the dusky blue dudes. So, is there a case where there's a lot of, I guess, team up missions between some of these other races out
think
there
that
to interact with humans?
I think humans, it seems that humans seem to be the obvious babies of the universe, if that's the case, because of all these other races are far more intelligent and kind of working together, or at least some of them are, or some of them have ulterior motives as some kind of world domination where they. We'll get there at some point where they all have like a treaty amongst them.
Yeah,
with
there's like
everyone
the
with Earth and stuff like
Federation,
that.
which what I find weird about Communion, and not necessarily Communion, but this story, if there are Altarians in play, I want to say the Greys are not necessarily part of that treaty. Like them and the Reptilians are basically buddied up.
From what
and
I've heard,
the
again,
Federation's
I could be
like-
wrong though, that the Greys were part of that treaty, but at some point or another, they kind of like
fucked it off.
fucked it off. Yeah, exactly. So apparently, according to what I've read and what I've heard, Greys were allowed to abduct humans, but bring them back, but also give a list to, I guess, our government
Yes,
of who they were.
There was definitely. Oh,
But they were doing
that
more.
treaty.
Yeah, like that
Yes,
particular
the
treaty.
Eisenhower shit.
Where they didn't give lists and they started just abducting without recording like names and people who were they taking. So they kind of like fucked off on that particular treaty.
Right, but perhaps there's the intergalactic treaty.
Yeah,
that's there. Like they basically reneged similarly. Gotcha.
So the Alterians says that they follow this cosmic law of one, which I'll just read here real quickly so you get an idea. Maybe puts more context into the Travis Walton story. So it says these laws are designed to align lives to the universal frequency of harmony. It says the law of unity, everything is interconnected. When you are at one with yourself, you are at one with everyone. There is no separation. 2, law of vibration, tuning the spiritual body to vibrate at a high frequency enriches life. 3, the law of manifestation, using your frequency to manifest your hopes, dreams, and desires. And then the law of cause and effect, the energy frequency you put out is the energy frequency you get back. Sounds like a Beatles song. The law of mental clarity, connecting to source daily for mental clarity. And the law of spiritual development, connecting to source daily to design your spiritual path towards divinity. And number 7, the law of physical health, eat right, exercise, and laugh.
So this sounds like the New Age movement met the Space Brothers movement.
Right.
And then they, got in the sack and then produced a baby called this Law of One or Rule of One or whatever the fuck it's called.
There are lots of alien races that follow that particular cosmic law of one.
Yeah, because these are also the same guys that will come down and warn contactees about nuclear proliferation and how that's bad and how we're shitting to our environment. Like it's all in the same like tread. Or that works.
Something. So back to the film. Do you have any other thoughts regarding the movie itself?
No, it's just a cool movie. I liked it a lot.
Do you have any thoughts on the Travis Walton's
his experience?
His experience, yeah.
I mean, I'd be inclined to believe him, sure. After meeting him and the little I've read over.
I'll be honest with you, I do believe Travis Walton.
I don't think he's a liar. If that's yeah.
Right, well, I mean, there's instances where like people stick to their story even at their detriment.
Yeah.
It really hasn't helped him any, hasn't done him any favors. Other than they made a movie of him.
Sure.
And I'd say the same thing about Willie Strieber, which is also kind of iffy on that, but. It's done him no favors either. Like, I mean, he's not rich and famous off this. He's pretty much considered a quack by a lot of people. I mean, there's other like Bob Lazar, same thing.
Yeah.
Another person who
would be the easiest.
It did him no favors, like revealing this information, which seems to be truthful now, like because of some of the technology. But Bob Lazar never seemed interested in, or at this point doesn't seem interested in the alien overall aspect of the or that alien perspective. He just cares about the technology and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, anything else, guys? I don't know of anything else. I mean, we've touched on some of the stuff regarding the real version of Travis Walton's story and the movie.
I mean,
what do you think about like? Do you think like the end, the movie, the ending resolved the?
God, that's stupid ending.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like that line in the ending. I don't mind them getting together and make amends.
I think probably the biggest problem with that movie is that fucking end. Yeah.
I don't like the fact that I honestly like the fact that DB Sweeney kind of fucking goes, I don't think they like me anymore, and then he smiles.
Yeah.
I'm just like, fuck you.
No.
I wish they had probably like. I mean, they didn't go back. They talked about like, well, you saw like the little title cards at the end of the movie, whatever happened to Travis and Mike or whatever.
Right.
But
families.
I wish they would have gone through like the other guys because I mean, they were affected too, But I mean, I guess as far as the movie is concerned, they kind of have to just zero in on the focus between this two people, and I don't even know necessarily if Mike Rogers and Travis Walton were actually gonna be related at some point.
Right.
That could have been just part of the movie, which again I didn't really delve further into, but I know Travis Walton did get married at some point and became like a foreman at some mill or some shit. But as far as I know about him now, of course, now he does like the convention center, which is probably making way more money doing that.
Probably. I hope so.
When I saw him at the convention and he was doing Q&A, there was a few people that go in there I was annoyed by these people, but I mean, I don't know if he was. He seemed like they're just asking kind of ridiculous questions because that he wouldn't know necessarily himself. Of course, they wanted to know like if they gave him any answers to life and stuff, and he's like, no.
No, it's scary.
Where did they? Where he was like, I think they asked him like, where did they take you? Did they show you anything? He's like, well, I was just kind of in this spaceship. And I don't recall. Right? Some people asked him pretty much the same question again later on, and he's just like, no. Like he didn't like elaborate. He's just like, no. Like he's like, I don't know. He's like, where are they from? He's like, I don't know.
Not here.
I have to go back real quick. Though again, from Travis Walton's perspective in the book, and according to the movie, he ends up at a gas station calling Mike from a phone booth.
Right.
And mind you, it's raining. It's
Where
pouring.
did he get the money?
That's what I was just about to get at. In the book, he mentions
any exact change
that at that particular time you didn't have to put a dime in there for collect call.
Oh, no
you just hit 0. And in the movie he goes, do you accept the call from? And that's the way it used to be. Like you could easily call someone, but they had to pay for that.
Right.
Remember, you had to get an actual phone bill from a landline and stuff like that.
Right. Way times.
So that was one question I had too. How the fuck did he call him? How did he get the money? So basically, I think, according to the book, he wakes up on a road and he sees the spaceship take off. And then he's like just going to the next gas station or the next one he finds because he's looking for a phone.
And he makes a call and stuff himself?
Yeah. So he said he goes to one phone booth that doesn't work. And then he goes to the next one. And like that one did work. And he specifically mentions like that I didn't have to use money. Like he just had to like call the operator.
Yeah.
And then they did the collect call. Y'all remember those like 1-800 collect commercials?
You accept the charges.
Yeah. From my understanding in his account, he called him, they gathered some people and they drove over, but he wasn't as traumatized as he was in the movie.
Gotcha.
You know how he's like all curled up and he's just like,
yeah.
And she's like, Travis, you okay? Like screaming and shit. He basically said he was tired and hungry. And that, of course, they gave him food and shit like that. He got him a glass of water.
Travis, you're not you and you're hungry. Have a Snickers. Product placement. Oh.
What kind of candies did they have back then? Did they have candies back then?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean.
They gave him
they're
fucking
all lead-lined, but whatever.
No, man, they gave him fucking candy corn.
And a classic Yoo-hoo.
Sugar it up, Travis. Also, in the movie, they bring these like quote unquote UFO experts, and they kind of wants a urine sample. But in the actual account, they take him to a doctor the next day to do some tests on him to make sure there's no radiation. I think there was a person in there that was a quote unquote UFO expert that kind of recommended that as being less intrusive as he is in the movie, where they're just kind of like berating, like they're all in like that little cramped bathroom. And then, of course, he sees the little dots and stuff, and he's just like, I mean, that's cool. Oh, the syrup falling on him.
That's gross.
But yeah, so what came of all that, I don't recall in real life, other than we know Travis Walton is still going around talking about it because people are still interested.
I mean, maybe you'll be lucky and you can go meet him.
Well, yeah, you can, yeah. I know Betty and Barney Hill are dead. So can't really ask them about anything anymore. I'm pretty sure they'd be a hot topic, a hot guest on any of these convention circuits. They'd be like MUFON royalty. Like you have like the trifecta of people. You have like the MUFON festival. You have like Von Doniken there, Wheatley Strieber, Travis Walton. The corpses of Betty and Barney Hill.
It'd be Nick Redfern now.
Nick Redfern too, or Nick Pope also. He's that guy. Makes the rounds also.
No,
and that guy from Ancient Aliens, the homeboy.
Tsoukalos, yeah.
That guy, yeah. Is that how do you say his last name? Tsoukalos?
Tsoukalos, yeah.
He's the one bankrolling them all.
Is that what he's doing?
No.
Oh, you're just like theorizing. Okay.
Dork.
I was like, is he like the one that started this whole Ancient
You mean
Aliens
there's a
thing?
chance? Jeez, dude.
Let's get that guy on the podcast,
Yes.
man. Maybe we can get Travis Walton, Wheatley Strieber, William Bramley. Let's not forget him. And
Wait.
Yeah, Bradley might still be alive. Too.
Is
I
he?
think Bramley's still alive.
because he was on some Ancient Aliens episodes a few years ago.
Oh, it sucked, man. We call him. He's just like, yeah, I'll do the interview. He's like talking to us.
Like shit. And of course, be like one of those like phone-in ones. And of course, the line's gonna sound like an old Art Bell episode with the quality.
Yeah. I'm talking about aliens and stuff. Yeah. It would be pretty fucking bad. You know, I was surprised, like, listening to all those old episodes of Coast to Coast with Art Bell, or even old radio stations, probably even, like, as early as late, or early as 2001-ish, 2005. Like, the recordings of that sound terrible.
They're awful.
They fucking sound... It sounds like someone recording them through a fucking speaker.
Yeah, I mean, that's like how, like, John Keel sounded. Like, that was a shit phone
And that was
call.
a phone call, yeah. That was definitely a phone call. But even, like, the quality of Art Bell, again, it sounds like someone recorded them through a fucking speaker because they're not getting the actual direct line from the microphone from whatever board they were using. I don't even know if they were recording them at the time. Maybe they were. I don't know. But yeah, even old episodes with Bill Cooper and stuff, like those sound like pretty bad. Also, I mean, you can hear it. They sound okay, but they don't have like near the quality of like some loser lowlives people with no prior radio experience.
Hey-o.
But yeah, any other thoughts on Fire in the Sky?
Only that.
Oh yeah, we also have ratings too. We didn't go through ratings. And like,
I mean, I assume that was next.
that is next. Yeah.
I've got I guess some impetus to look deeper into the Travis story. You know, listen to a few more podcasts.
He says as he rolls his eyes so heavily.
Well, no, I was thinking about like just the source material.
That's funny.
Like all the other crap apart from just reading the actual like account. But just like what all the other resources are out there.
I mostly flipped through it, and it is.
Honestly, like going through this portion, as he has it broken down, the chapters are real short. And again, quick read, you just fucking flip through it. I was able to get whatever information I could, like within 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Of like just skimming through the actual chapter itself.
So, I guess no one else had anything to say about.
I mean, as far as like the movie is concerned, I like it a lot. It's probably one of my favorite Alien movies of all time.
Okay.
Not the favorite, but one of them. I mean, I have like a group that I really can't like put in an order, you know. I mean, there's a shit ton of Alien movies out there, like a shit ton of them. But Fire in the Sky is up there because it has more of a realistic element to it because we know it happened. It's fucking truth. It's telling the fucking truth, people. But it also kind of like just furthered my interest in aliens and UFOs and ghosts and supernatural shit, which to this day still exists. Even when I was a kid, reading those really shit Time Life books in school, like getting them to the library, where you just find a snippet of like a UFO story, or hopefully Robert Stack will fucking enlighten me on a Friday night.
Hell yeah.
To give me my fix, you know. Also, still very good. You should, and I think they go over a Travis Walton episode on Unsolved Mysteries. Unsolved Mysteries still holds up, especially that theme song.
Oh, absolutely.
Like on a dark and stormy night, and you hear dee-doo-doo-dee-doo. You look around, man.
It's time for some entertainment, baby.
It's time for, man, dude, my asshole clenches up. I get that scared just from that theme song.
Nice.
In the dark. But just a real quick side note before we get to our actual ratings of this movie. I mentioned to Roland, and I think I've kind of casually mentioned to you, that I have an issue with going to Spirit Halloween or any sort of like mask or Halloween decorations. I get some kind of weird triggered thing from it. Like I can't enjoy the festivities of Halloween when it comes to putting on wigs, masks, costumes, all that kind of shit. I can't do it. And I was always trying to describe what it feels like to me just going near a Spirit Halloween. Even though I want to go in there, I just can't.
Do you just crash into a trash can and then just go, whoa?
Where I'm walking up to him.
Yeah.
Whenever they put that jelly and shove the fucking metal pipe in his mouth, and he's like, that's how I feel. That's how I feel, like that.
Wow.
That's a physical representation
So great.
of how
We
I
love
feel.
it.
That's how I feel.
Jeez.
Every time.
That's how bad it is. And I'm still trying to work my way through that. So every time I'm just like, it's bad. So I'll go with my ratings for this movie.
grown-ass
I give it
man.
a solid
Don't
8
you
out of
dare.
10 for me. Say
All
8
right.
out of 10 for me.
That's fine.
For Fire in the Sky. Roland, what do you think?
6.2.
6.2. That arbitrary 0.2 nonsense number.
I know
So a solid
I know
6.
you appreciate that. I know
Solid,
you appreciate
what's the 2 point? What is that?
What is
0.2?
that? I mean, just a little.
You like Robert Patrick?
Yeah, there you go. Just give it that little extra seasoning.
You were hoping he was gonna fucking like do some kind of T-1000 shit, don't you?
I mean, he had an awesome mullet.
He did, yeah.
It's great. It's power in that neck hair.
Daniel.
8 out of 10 as well.
8 out of 10?
I was thinking about that before we got here shortly. I was like, oh yeah. Or got to this point. I was like, yeah, this is really good. And particularly like as I brought up like towards the beginning of the episode, I really like how they showed the community impact of an abduction event. Like that was really cool. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that helps, like as you said, like helps ground it.
Yeah.
And, like makes it more real, but it's just not a take you see or read about very often when it comes to ufological matters. It's always like the person, their weird experience, and maybe some of the brief fallout from when they get back or whatever. Maybe their wife divorces them or whatever the fuck. like shit happens. But as far as like on the scale of like what Fire in the Sky portrayed in the film, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. I think that is probably like the main thing about this film that makes it hold up is the fact that it's not just one person's account. It's a group of people and how
they're all stamping up and down saying, I know what I saw,
Yeah.
That's cool.
And of course they go through that whole, which is not as credible. I don't know how credible it was back then, but the lie detector tests where like they all kind of passed, and they kind of give a little bit of validity to the story and how their perspective, because not to say that that's valid piece of machinery that
tests, like right for
they
the
passed
most
the
part
test,
they all
right?
did. So
But if they all stayed consistent with their story, and that's probably like the one thing that gives it some validation,
credits.
Gives it credibility.
There you go.
So yeah, that'll be it for this episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment below. What do you think of the Travis Walton story? Do you think it's fake? Do you think it's real? And have you ever seen him at a convention? He has a sweet stash, like a Tom
I have
Selleck
seen,
stash.
like video interviews with him and stuff. Yeah, very sweet.
Yeah, and he can wear a hat real cool. I don't know. And he always wears a suit. He wears a suit. Very old school kind of guy.
He had a really nice old ass.
Not like Bob Lazar wearing T-shirts. But yeah, that'll be it for us. Stay tuned for our next, based on a true story, alien UFO-ish type of
space
episode. We'll see you next time.